Right, good morning everyone. Today we will discuss text classification using Naive Bayes classifier. As we have introduced the Naive Bayes classifier, and we have also solved one problem of detecting cancer. Right. So Naive Bayes classifier is successfully used, especially in diagnostic applications as well as in text classification. Right, so these are the couple of areas where naive Bayes classification is widely used with a very good accuracy. Right, so now we have to observe carefully, like how we have solved this uh, identifying, detecting whether a person may have cancer or not, that particular problem which we have solved. Right, so we will be solving another problem today, but we will come across some new things in this particular text classification which you might not have seen in our previous diagnostic example. So what kind of new things you will come across, and how do we handle them? That is also an important point to be noted, right, friends? So today we will be doing text classification. Now further, the problem statement was already discussed. Statement was already given in the last class, right? So friends, please observe this. I'll just give you a briefing of what we have discussed in our last class, right? So text classification is the task which we wanted to handle. So the task at hand is text classification and the data set, right? So friends, if you observe, the data set itself is different when compared with the data sets which we have dealt in our previous example. If you try to recollect the data set of candidate elimination algorithm or decision tree algorithm, in that data set we had four variables called as outlook, temperature, humidity, and wind. Based on the possible values of those four variables, our outcome was being decided. What was our outcome? Whether a person will go for playing tennis or not. So playing tennis was our outcome variable, and its possible values are yes or no, but it depends on four attributes, right? Outlook, temperature, humidity, and wind. But friends, if you observe here in this data set also, we have two parts, or you can say two columns. The left side, what you see is a column called as a text, right? So, I have my text and I have class. So I have test and I have class. So these are like headings. These are like headings, right? Now, how many, like in play tennis example, we had two classes. Yes, no means the person will go for playing tennis or he will not go for playing tennis. So we had two classes. Similarly, we have two classes here, two output classes. They are spam and not spam. Means whether a email is considered to be spam or not spam. Shall I flag an email as a spam email, or shall I put it into inbox, or shall I throw it into inbox? That will be decided, right, based on this algorithm's output, right? So now I want to develop a classifier which will tell, by looking at a new sentence, or by looking at the content of an email, right? I should be in a position to tell whether it is spam or not spam. So that is what is my expected outcome of this Naive Bayes optimal classifier, right? So in order to construct that Naive Bayes optimal classifier for text classification, right? You can even say spam filtering. This example can also be called as spam filtering. So now if you look at the data set, our data set is little different from the previous data sets which we have used. In the previous data sets, friends, if you observe, there were attributes, right? There were attributes which used to take some standard values, like humidity is there. Humidity is an attribute Either it will take a value high or low. Wind can be strong or not strong. Temperature, cool, hot. Outlook, possible values are sunny, overcast, cloudy, like that. So there were multiple parameters, and each parameter was able to take some set of fixed values. Right? Outlook may take any three values. Temperature can take any possible two values. Wind will be taking any of the two possible values. So like that, we have predefined what we say values in each column. That is the first difference which you need to identify in our previous data set and in today's data set. So if you observe here in our today's example, if you look at the data set, what do you find is you will find text. So what can come in text? Anything can come in text. It is a content from emails, right? So this is training data. And hi Ram, how are you? This is one text item which I bought from some previous emails, and I already know that they are not spam mails. So hi Ram, how are you? Right, this kind of message I can get from my friends, my colleagues, or from my employers, or from any other person who wanted to contact me. So obviously, the chances of this kind of messages becoming spam are very sorry. So obviously the chances of this message becoming spam are very less. So what I am doing is I am trying to train my machine learning model, or I am trying to construct my new Bayes classifier by giving some training to it. So in training data, in training examples, I am telling what is spam, what is not spam. So if you take the first record of my data set, hi Ram, how are you? Hi Ram, how are you is the text, and this is considered to be not spam. Then data uploaded, sir. Means someone might have kept this kind of message to me. Data uploaded, sir. Some of my employees can share this kind of report to me. So obviously, I treat this as not spam. So you know very well in decision trees, in candidate elimination, in FindDesk, right from the beginning of concept learning and inductive learning, we are taking training data. Training data is the data for which we know the output class also. So this training data we will give to our machine learning model. Whether that machine learning model is constructed using decision tree or candidate elimination or naive Bayes or neural networks, whatever it is, all are machine learning models. So we train our model by giving the training data as input. So friends, I am giving some sample data to train my classifier. So hi Ram, how are you? It is not spam. Data uploaded, sir. This is second record, and its class is also not spam. You can win 10 lakhs. Generally, even if you have email account, I hope you have emails, and you might have seen this kind of mails, which most of the time they will be automatically redirected by Gmail into your spam what we say folder. So why they are automatically sent to spam? Because they are suspicious mails, right? Today nobody will give you 10 rupees without any benefit or without any purpose. So obviously who will give you 10 lakhs? So these are all fraudulent mails. So obviously Gmail will try to automatically redirect them to spam. So this is an example of spam. Join our network free of cost. So this message is also an example of spam. Hi Ram, Neha is waiting. Click to connect. Friends, I highlighted this with red color because these are all very dangerous emails. Especially the young boys and girls are being trapped by sending these kind of mails. Now they are basically called as phishing attacks, right? So obviously, if my email service provider like Gmail, Yahoo, whoever it is, if they have a good spam filtering mechanism in place, they will consider this one as spam and they will throw it in spam folder, right? So if you look at the data set, I have 5 examples. In these 5 examples, 3 come under spam and 2 are examples of not spam. So this is the data set. Moving on, we know very well what is Bayes theorem. Probability of A given B. How do I read it? Probability of A given B is equal to probability of B given A, right? Divided by into probability of A divided by probability of B. Normal Bayes theorem, which we have been seeing from past so many days, right? Now, just like our cancer detection example, so first I need to find overall probability, right? Probability of spam. And now I am not comparing it with any of the case, only overall probability of spam, right? It will be total number of records are 5. In that, how many records are spam? 3 records are spam. So 3 by 5, 0.6. So probability of spam is 0.6. Probability of not spam is, there are only 2 records which are saying not spam. So 2 by total number of records 5. 2 by 5, 0.4 is the probability of not spam. So overall probabilities. So now we are trying to solve the problem, right? Now, for example, I got a new mail, and in that mail, suppose this is the content. So this is the content in that mail. What is the content? Ram sir, are you coming tomorrow? Right. So I try to store it in X so that in my future representations it will be becoming easy for me to write. So now what I need to tell is, if I get an email and if that mail contains this kind of message, Ram sir, are you coming tomorrow? Now I need to decide whether this mail is spam or not spam. That is what is our task, right? So what I need to decide, see here, same thing, whatever I told in English, now I am trying to write the same thing in the form of probabilistic, what we say, in the form of conditional probabilities. So probability of spam given X means, what is X? Ram sir, are you coming tomorrow? This is a new email content. Now I need to find what is the overall probability of spam. I got it, 3 by 5. Overall probability of not spam is 2 by 5, that I know. But what is the probability of output, or what is the probability of spam for a given X? Means for Ram sir, are you coming tomorrow? For this email content, I need to find the probability of it being spam. Similarly, what is the probability of X being not spam? So both values I need to calculate, right? So suppose if I got P of spam by X is more than P of not spam by X, in that case I will consider this X as spam. So whichever probability I'll get more, that decision I will take, or that class I will consider for X. So if the probability of X for spam is more than probability of not spam, then I will consider this message also as a spam message. If the probability of X being not spam is more than the probability of spam, then I'll treat this X as not spam only. So our objective is to find these two values, my dear friends. So P of spam given X, P of not spam given X. So this is what is the question which we have already discussed in our previous class. Now we will see how do we solve this. How do we solve this? So I hope you have understood the question, and the students who are not present, right, in the last class, even they might have who have joined us today, even they should be able to understand the question. Now the question is very simple, right? Now how do I find these two values? How do I find these two values, right? So what is the formula? What is the formula as per what we say, Bayes theorem? What is the formula, sir? Just treat this one as P of A by B. Spam is A, X is B. So what is the formula? P of A by B means P of B by A, right? B by A means X by spam into P of spam, right? Simple formula, sir. I am applying this formula. This P of A by B is equal to P of B by A divided by P of B. P of A by B is equal to P of B by A into P of A whole divided by P by B, right? Whole divided by P by B. This is what I am trying to apply here. So here my A is spam, right? B is not spam. Sorry, A is spam, B is X. So P of A by B is equal to P of B by A, means X by spam, into P of A, which is P of spam, right? Then divided by overall, this entire part overall divided by P of X, divided by P of X. Similarly, for this one, here A by B means A is not spam, B is X as usual. So P of X by not spam into P of not spam divided by P of X, right? So friends, if you observe, I need to calculate the value for equation 1 and equation 2. So formula for equation 1 is this, right? P of X by spam into P of spam by P of X. Similarly, for second one, the formula, or you can say the value is this. So if you observe in both equations, the denominator is P of X, which is common in both cases. In both cases, the denominator is the same. So I can ignore or truncate the denominator. After removing denominator, what is left now? What I need to calculate? So if I remove the denominator, now what is the formula? Let me remove the denominator. Control C. Control P of spam or X is equal to this. Similarly, P of not spam for X is equal to P of X bar not spam into P of not spam, right? Right, friends? So my equation is further simplified. I have removed the denominator. I have removed the denominator because in both equations it is common. So I have removed it. Now what I need to calculate is further simplified. P of spam by X is equal to P of X by spam into P of spam. Similarly, P of not spam by X is equal to P of X by not spam into P of not spam. But if you observe, it can be further simplified because probability of spam, this P of spam already we know. What is P of spam? Total number of records are 5, out of which spam records are 3. It is 3 by 5, which we have done. See, P of spam is already calculated, 0.6. P of not spam is 0.4. So this calculation is already there. So this P of spam can be now replaced with 0.6. So how it will look like now? How my equations will look? So let me right? Now, how these two equations will now look like: P of spam is replaced with 0.6, means into zero point 0.6, and P of not spam already I know, which is into 0.4. So I hope you understood why I have substituted 0.6 and 0.4. I hope you understood why I have substituted 0.6 and 0.4. Right? Now what is left? In order to know the answer for P of spam for given X means, what is this X? It is a statement. Ram sir, are you coming tomorrow? That is a email content. So I need to decide whether it is spam or not. So this P of spam by X, now whatever answer I will get for this one, this expression, if that is more than the answer of the next expression, then obviously I'll treat that message as spam, otherwise not spam, right? So finally what I need to calculate is these two components I need to calculate. So what is the formula? P of spam by X is equal to, so let me deal with, so this is my, call this one as, right, 1, and I call this one as, so let me solve this first one. So what is P of spam bar X is equal to P of X bar spam into 0.6. Now, in order to find this, I need to find the value of P of X bar spam. So P of X bar spam is equal to, so how do I find P of X bar spam? P of X bar spam. Till this point, is it clear? We will see how to calculate P of X bar spam, that I'll tell you. But why I have substituted 0.6, why I have substituted 0.4, how I got this formula, right? Till this point, is it clear? First of all, please let me know. I'm spending a lot of time, so that I want you to follow this example. We can expect this in our external exam, my dear friends. So is it clear to everyone till this point? Please let me know so that I can continue. Yeah, please type in the chat box. Till this point, is it clear to you or not? Only 572 has responded. Yeah, fine. So that's great. We will move on. So P of X bar spam. Now what is there in X? It is a message. It's a content. Now what I need to find is, what is probability of A by B, means number of times. Observe this carefully. The sentence, X is a sentence, right? Ram sir, are you coming tomorrow? That is the sentence. So number of times the sentence appears in the class divided by total number of sentences in that class. Here class means we have two classes, sir, spam and not spam. They are our classes. So what is this? Number of classes times the sentence appeared in the class divided by total number of sentences in that class. Total number of sentences in that class. But what is sentence? Sentence is not a single, what we say, it is not a single unit. Sentence itself is collection of words. So friends, What is a sentence? Sentence is collection of words, right? So what will happen to this formula is, now it will look like this. P of x by spam, this is what I need to find, right? P of x by spam. Please don't get confused. The P of x by spam we have to calculate. Finally, we have to multiply it with 0.6 so that we get P of spam by x. So finally, what we want is spam by x, not spam by x values. But in order to get spam by x, you have to know what is x by spam. So x by spam, if you get, you multiply it with 0.6, you will get the equation 1. So first of all, x by spam I want. So x by spam is equal to number of times the sentence appeared in the class by total number of sentences in that class. But sentence is not a single unit. That sentence itself is a collection of words. So now I need to go back and I need to see what is there in the text. What is there in the X? Ram sir, are you coming tomorrow? So Ram sir, are you coming tomorrow? So there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 words are there, my dear friends. So now what I will do is, now what I have to do, or how my formula will look is, I need to find probability, conditional probability of each word now. Ram, I think it was in small letters. Ram, then comes spam, right? So I need to find whether this particular first word of my X, right? What is the conditional probability of that X with spam into P of, what was the second word? Second word was sir, then bar spam, then comes Ram sir, are you, right? So it was R bar spam, Ram sir, are you coming, right? Are you coming? So it was you by spam, then into probability of are you coming? Coming divided by spam. Then again, coming, are you coming tomorrow, right? Tomorrow. Spam. So these many probabilities I need to find. So probability of X by spam is equal to, X is a sentence. Sentence is a collection of words. And for every word I need to do this. So P of Ram by spam into P of sir by spam into P of R by spam, P of you by spam, P of coming by spam, P of tomorrow by spam, right? So these individual components I need to calculate. I will get some value, right? These individual components I need to calculate. Now moving forward, so next step, now what I want for each component I need to calculate P of Ram divided by spam, means Ram given Ram by spam. So how do I get this P of Ram by spam? Number of times the word appeared divided by number of times the word appeared divided by total number of words in the class. So which class? What is the class I am dealing with? Spam or not spam? So I am dealing with which class? Spam class. Right? Look at the formula carefully, my dear friends. Number of times the word appeared divided by total number of words in the class. Number of times the word appeared divided by total number of words in the class. So in the class means which class? Spam and not spam are the two classes. Spam and not spam are two classes. So I am dealing with spam class now. So total number of words in the class. So what I should do is I should go back to my data set, right? How many times spam classes are there? There are three records. There are three records. In three records, I find how many times, how many words are there in spam class, total number of words. Let us count now. U is one word, can is second word, win is third word, 10, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. So total number of words in the spam class are are 18 or 19 words are there. How many times Ram appeared? How many times the word Ram has appeared? Come on, respond in the chat box. So what we have to do is total number of words in the class. So which class? Spam class. So in go to your data set, you have 5 records, out of which 3 records are spam records. So in those 3 records, how many words are there you have to count, and how many times Ram appeared. So it is some 1 by 18. Am I correct? Any responses? 1 by 19, right? 1 by 19. So this is what is the answer for one word called as Ram. Now similarly I need to find for probability of Ram Sir by spam. Right, divided by 19, how many times this word appeared. Go back to the data set. Only in spam records I should see. How many times Sir appeared in spam records? How many times Sir appeared in spam records? Did you notice? Last 3 records are spam records. Is there any word called as a Sir? No, it's not there. In spam records, it's not there. It is there in non-spam records. So here it will be 0. 0 by 19. Am I correct? So how many times the word Sir appeared? 0 times. Now what do you mean by 0 by 19? What is the answer for 0 by 19? 0 by 19 means 0. What will happen if any one of the probability becomes 0? What is my P of X by spam? It's a product of all these conditional probabilities, right? Product of probability of Ram by spam, Sir by spam, R by spam, U by spam, coming by spam, tomorrow by spam. If any one of this probability is 0, entire product is going to become 0. And if this P of X by spam becomes 0, see the main formula in equation 1. If P of X by spam becomes 0, 0 into 0.6 is also 0. Means ultimately my final answer becomes a 0, and I cannot predict anything. I cannot tell whether a given a sentence, by looking at a given sentence in the email, I cannot tell whether this is a spam mail or not. So what do you mean by this? Can I have this kind of probability? Yeah, come on, please give your opinion. Please give your opinion. Like what happens if I have something like this, 0 by 19? Do you think my training data is not sufficient? do you think my training data is not sufficient? Training data is not sufficient. It is an important and interesting point to be discussed. It is very, very important, and I want you people to respond. So, probability of one word became zero, so it can lead to a big zero for entire estimation. So, do you think I have an issue with my data set because my training data is very, very small and only 5 records were there? Because of small training data, number of words are not covered. Do you think like training data is very small, or can I say by increasing training data I can make sure that this kind of problem is removed? Can I increase the training data to solve the problem? Yes sir, we can. How much I should increase? Ten records, 100 records, 1,000 records, 10,000 records. Nearly 100 records. Mhm. Unless there is no overfitting. Oh, good, good. Guessed, sir. No, listen carefully. See, uh, suppose you have a Gmail account, right? You get a lot of emails every day, right? What kind of words a person can use in sending an email, you can't predict, no? Like, can you cover all English words in your training data? If you don't want probabilities to be zero, you have to cover all possible English words, means entire English vocabulary should appear in your training data. Now tell me, is it possible to bring in entire English vocabulary into my training data? Don't you think it is practically very tough? How many words I can write? 100, 1000, 10,000, 20,000, 20 lakhs. You write 2 crore words. I will tell you one word which will not be there in your list. So it is infinite, near to infinite. Nobody knows how many words are there in English. Or even though if it is finite, it will be very, very big. It will be a very large number, you know very well. So can I bring my entire English vocabulary into my training data? It is impossible. We can't, even though you have a machine learning high end computer, you have good computing power. No, it is not a issue related to complexity. So I am not afraid, like, if I plug in all English words, it will lead to complexity. It will lead to complexity. That will not, that is not the problem, because complexity we can handle complexity. That is not a issue, right? So friends, the problem is not with the complexity. Problem is with the number of words. I can't really bring in all English vocabulary. So what can be done here? But if you look at this data set, obviously the probability of sir by spam is zero, and if any one of the component is zero, this entire product, this one, this entire product, let me highlight it, this entire product which you are seeing in yellow color, this entire product becomes zero. And when p of x by spam is zero, this p of x by spam will be multiplied with 0.6, which is again a zero, and our equation 1 will become zero. If equation 1 is zero, I cannot tell whether the given email or whether the new email is a spam email or not spam email. So I should have probabilities somewhere between 0 and 1. It can't be 0. So I hope you understood the problem now. So these components can't be 0. So that is the problem. So in order to solve this problem, to solve zero probabilities, we can use a technique called as additive smoothing, or it is called as Lidstone smoothing. Right. Friends, this additive smoothing itself can become one part A question, small question, right? So to solve zero valued probabilities, to solve the problem of zero valued probabilities, we can use a technique called as additive smoothing, or which is called as Lidstone smoothing. This is option 1. Let me write it here. Option 1. Or you can use Laplace smoothing. So what is this smoothing and what we do in smoothing, we will see. So now, what is this smoothing means? In smoothing, right, let me show you additive smoothing formula. So the formula is, so friends, I am trying to address the issue of zero probabilities which you have seen, right? So what is the formula? Formula is n xi wi wj plus alpha. Actually, I should represent it with a mathematical symbol, right? I don't want to waste time now by inserting symbols on those things. Divided by nwj plus alpha into e. This is a standard formula. This is the standard formula for additive smoothing. So nxi wj plus alpha divided by nwj plus alpha into d. So what is this nxi wj? What is nwj? What is this alpha? Right? We will slowly write it down. So nxi wj means number of times, right? nxi wj is equal to number of times feature xi. Here xi is the feature, my dear. Feature means that word ram, sir, r, you, whatever words we are dealing now one by one. So they are features. They are called as features. Number of times feature xi appeared in the sample, right? Appeared in the sample in that class. In that class means in spam class, for example, how many times sir appeared, right? Sir appeared only 0 times. So that nxi wj is number of times it appeared in that particular class. Of course, in our previous example, it was 0. Alpha is a value less than 1, you can say close to 1. Choose a value close to 1. This is the meaning of alpha. Now nwj is equal to, what is nwj? NWJ is equal to total number of words. NWJ is count of all words in that particular class, right? Means NWJ is 19 in our case. Total number of features in that class. So plus alpha into D, right? What is alpha? We know. What is D? D is number of classes, right? Number of classes. So what will happen, sir? Now if you take the example of this one where I am getting 0 by 19, so for P of sir by spam, since I am getting 0, I will apply this smoothing. So when I apply smoothing, what will happen is it will become, what will happen, NX IWJ is 0. So it will be 0 plus alpha. Alpha means less than 1, close to 1. So let me take 0.8. So 0 plus 0.8 is 0.8 divided by NWJ, count of all features. All features were 19 in spam, plus alpha into 0.8 into D. How many classes are there? 2. So 19 plus 0.8 into 2, some value we will get, 0.8 divided by this value. Finally here you will get a non-zero answer, right? So friends, did you understand additive smoothing? Please let me know, did you understand additive smoothing, this particular formula? Please let me know. Additive smoothing is clear or not, because we were getting zeros, and if we get zeros, obviously it will be a problem, right? So additive smoothing is a technique used to address the problem of zero probabilities. So additive smoothing can be applied in every place wherever you are dealing with probabilities, and if at all you are getting some zero probabilities and you want to avoid zero probabilities, then you can adding count variable. What is this? I didn't get you, B5. What is adding count variable? We are just trying to make it a non-zero value, that's all, right? So that is additive smoothing. And another technique is there, Laplace smoothing, right? So the only difference between additive smoothing and Laplace smoothing is, in additive smoothing, alpha will be less than 1, and in Laplace smoothing, alpha will be equal to 1. That is the only difference. Otherwise formula is same, right? So friends, what I will do is, either I go for additive smoothing, Lidstone smoothing, or second technique, Laplace smoothing, right? Any one of the technique I can use, and I can handle these kind of zero probabilities. So now you know how do you find the conditional probability for every word. So first word Ram, and which class I am dealing with, spam class. So I should go to all records in which the output was spam, means 3 records, last 3 records, and I need to see how many times Ram appeared. Ram appeared 1 time. How many words are there in spam class in all 3 records? Count them. It is 19. 1 by 19, right? Like that. And if at all I'll get a 0, sir by spam I got 0. Using additive smoothing, I'll make sure that it is not a 0 value. I'll get some non-zero result there. So like that, friends, I will calculate the value for all words individually. Individually for every word, we will calculate the conditional probabilities. See here, probability of Ram by spam, probability of sir by spam. Sir by spam, it was 0. So I use any one of the smoothing technique and I'll get a non-zero value there. R by spam, I don't know whether R is also 0 probability or not. I don't know. Let me check the data. Last 3 records. Yeah, R is also not there. So even it comes under zero probability, I'll apply my smoothing technique. So are you coming, right? So U is there. So again it will be 1 by 19, right? Are you coming? Coming is not there in these three words. So coming will also be zero probability. So again smoothing is done. Tomorrow is a word not present. So again smoothing will be done. So somehow Ram sir, are you coming tomorrow? There were six words. For six words, individual conditional probabilities are computed, and these individual conditional probabilities, these values are multiplied. So when I get a product which is equal to P of x by spam, that will be substituted here. Then I will come to know P of spam by x, means for a given x, whether it is spam, that probability I'll come to know. Similarly, same process I will repeat on the another class, not spam class. In not spam class, we have only two records. We have only two records in the not spam class. So what I will do is I will repeat the same process. Same message is there. Ram sir, are you coming tomorrow? So for each and every word, I will look into not spam class and I will find conditional probabilities. Right? I will find conditional probabilities. This part, not spam by X. X is same our new message. Ram sir, are you coming tomorrow? So for again not spam also, I will do this calculation. If at all I get some zero probabilities, I will do smoothing there. And finally, I will get two values from equation 1 and equation 2. From equation 1 and equation 2, I will get two values. If two values, by looking at those two values, if my spam, if the probability of spam is more than not spam, then I'll treat X as a spam message. If probability of not spam is greater than probability of spam, then I treat X as a not spam message. So this numerical calculations process I have shown you, individual, how individual calculations are done, that also we have seen couple of examples. If you get a zero, how to deal, that was also shown. So I hope now you can calculate P of spam by X. Equation 1 and equation 2 are important, my dear friends. So this is what is application of naive Bayes optimal classifier to identify whether a given x, here x is nothing but the English sentence, whether a given x is a spam message or not spam message, that we will decide based on the result of P of spam by x, not spam by x. And how do you compute spam by x, not spam by x? That is P of x by spam, P of x by not spam. These components you have to calculate. So into 0.6, how you got into 0.6, you know very well. How you got into 0.4, that you know very well. It is because of P of spam, P of not spam. 3 by 5, 2 by 5. Fine. So this is how you finally conclude whether that given message or email content, what was the email content, this one, Ram sir, are you coming tomorrow? I will conclude whether this particular message is a spam message or not spam message, right? So in our example, for simplicity's sake, we have only taken 5 records, my dear friends, but originally naive Bayes classifier is applied on a very large scale, not on a single document. It can be even applied on multiple documents. For example, suppose if you open your smartphone and go to Google, by default Google will show you some news, right? You will find some sports news, entertainment news, then some political news, right? Then some news related to movies, some news related to gadgets, some news related to what we say, uh, international issues, etc., etc. A variety of news you will see when you just open a Google page. But if you observe, friends, right? If you observe, based on your choice, like over a period of time, Google will learn that irrespective of the news which I am showing to this fellow, oh, most of the time this particular person is watching sports related news and movie related news. So what will happen after few days? Slowly, if you observe, Google will start showing you more news about sports and movies. Suppose you have not at all shown interest in politics, Google will slowly try to reduce the news related to politics, right? So how this is being done? Even the documents are being classified, my dear friends, as uh, into variety of classes. So if there is a document or if there is a page, I call this one as a sports page or a entertainment page or a edu education page based on the type of the content. So, so this text classification is not done on words and sentences. It is really carried out on very, very large scale documents. So what we have seen is a small example on a very small scale. Same process is same, but it will be applied on large scale documents and number of classes will be more. It will not just be spam and not spam. This is a simple email filtering example, and email can be of generally two categories, spam and not spam. So simple example was shown to you. Suppose even if the email is not spam, further we can categorize that email as, if it is not spam, then where it should go? It should go to inbox. In inbox, how many categories you have? You have personal, you have primary, you have you can create your own tabs like promotions, forums, updates, etc. So into which particular tab this particular email should go will also be decided by these kind of Bayesian classifiers which are being used in the background. So I hope now this entire concept of text classification finally reaching out to a conclusion whether given message is a spam message or not a spam message. This entire process is now clear to everyone. This is what I am assuming. So you have to confirm that. So whether this text classification concept is clear or not, please let me know in the chat box, my dear friends. And if you have any doubts also, you can please ask. There is one question from, we used alpha as 0.8. Should we continue the same for alpha values in the data set, or can, no, you can use the recommendation is alpha must be less than 1 and should be close to 1 and should be close to 1. So if you have used 0.8, you have to use 0.8 in the entire problem, right? Where why we use when this alpha will come into picture when you are dealing with smoothing. When you will go to smoothing when there are zero probabilities. For example, when you are solving this test classification problem, just imagine you got 3 times zero probabilities, 572. You got 3 times zero probabilities. All 3 times you should use 0.8, right? So value which you are using must be less than 1. Suppose if you have opted 0.8, then please use 0.8 in all places. You can't change every time. In both spam and not spam should we use same? Yes, that's what I'm saying. In the entire text classification problem, suppose you are solving a problem, maybe number of classes are 2 or more than 2 also, right? Suppose just imagine you got an email and already assume that this is not a spam. Now you have to decide whether it should go to primary tab or it should go to promotions tab or it should go to social tab or it should go to updates tab or it should go to some other tab like personal tab. Then multiple classes are there, 5 or 6. So irrespective of the number of classes, if you are dealing with one problem, in the entire problem, wherever you get zero probabilities, wherever you apply smoothing techniques, alpha value must be same. And if you are using Laplace smoothing, alpha will be 1. Alpha will be 1, right? So is that clear? Text classification using naive Bayes. Is it clear, my dear friends? Everyone, those who are attending, each and every student, please respond. I'm going to give this kind of problem in your second mid examination. Definitely this kind of problem will be given. And the students who are not attending the classes, then I'm sorry, they will face a lot of problems. One word, we have done, no? We have done calculations for one word. For Ram by spam, we have done, it was 1 by 19. For Sir by spam, it was these calculations let us do. Right. So what is 0.8 into 2? 0.8 into 2 is 0.16, right? Add 0.16 to 19, it will become 19.16. So this will be 0.8 divided by 19.16. 0.8 divided by 19.16. So what is the answer? I'll just check it out in my calculator, in my phone only. 0.8 divided by 19.16. So this will be 0.0417, right? So similarly, then R by spam, that single R you coming tomorrow, but single R is there in my, I am dealing with spam class, so in the last 3 records I should see. Single R is not there, but U is there. So Ram by spam is 1 by 19. Sir by spam was 0. So I calculated it. It now became 0.0417. Now similarly, now I need to do calculation for R by spam. R is also not there. So even its value will be same because 0.0417. U is there once. So it will be 1 by 19. Coming by spam, again it is 0, I think 0 or 1, so 1 by 19. So friends, if you observe, when we work with a large scale data set or when we work on a real time problem, these probabilities will vary. They will not be so similar. Like 1 by 19 we got, if I find another word 3 times, it will become 3 by 19. Another word I may find 10 times, it will become 10 by 19. So multiple combinations, different answers you get for each conditional probability. Because we have taken a very simple example, we have taken only 3 records and number of words are also very less. That's the reason in this example, if you observe, either you will get 1 by 19. For first one, it is 1 by 19. See here, Ram by spam is 1 by 19 into Sir by spam is not there, so I applied smoothing, I got 0.04 into R by spam is also not there, I got 0.04 because of smoothing. U by spam occurred only once, so it will be 1 by 19 into coming by spam. Coming is there. Go to data set. Last 3 records, is there any word coming? No. So coming is also not there. So coming is also not there, so 0.04 because I have to do smoothing. Tomorrow, I think that word is there. Tomorrow. No, tomorrow is not there, page down. So here also it should be another 0.04. But if you observe, friends, closely, it looks it's not really looking realistic because most of the values are, there are only 2 possible values we are getting. 0.04 came many times because of 0 probabilities, and in remaining 2 cases it was 1 by 19. But technically speaking, in real documents, in real text classification, you deal with large scale data. a text document with 1000 words, 10,000 words, 1 lakh words, like that, in that case, obviously the number of occurrences will also be more. So you will get 300 by 1000, 500 by 1000, 200 by 1000, like that. You get different probabilities. And as the size of the document increases, the chances of zero probabilities will reduce, right? So we have taken a very simple example. That's the reason we are getting most of the repeated values. But this is what is the procedure. Procedure remains to be same. Procedure is correct. This is how. This is what I get all conditional probabilities. I will multiply them. I'll get some answer. That answer I will multiply with 0.6, right? Which gives me my first equation. Similarly, I will repeat the same process x by not spam. The way I was searching in spam category, now I will search in the not spam category for my same words, same text. Are you coming tomorrow? For same thing, I'll do it in not spam category, and I will see what is the conditional probability for not spam category. So I will get some answer. I'll multiply it with 0.4. I'll get my second equation. Now, which equation is giving me more value? That class will be assumed as the output class for my new email. So if the spam value is the final probability of spam is greater than not spam, then I'll treat this new message as a spam message, right? So I hope the process is clear now. One more doubt: the extent to which the result is to be believed. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The success rate of a Bayesian classifier in text classification is considered to be somewhere around 86%, right? So friends, you may think that, sir, in 14% cases it may give wrong answer. Yeah, it will happen. In 14% of the cases it may give you wrong classification, but 86% is a very good number. 86% is a good number. That's the reason, friends, if you observe, even in Google also, what will happen? We will see some, sometimes we will see some inaccurate results, right? Inaccurate results. Suppose I'll just show you live. Let me go to Google. Let me go to Google, right? Right. I'll say cat. Go to images, right? Observe this. I asked Google to identify cat. Now you know very well. Obviously, machine learning is being used, right, for object identification or object detection. I wanted to see cats. Google is showing me cats. Observe carefully. Observe. Tell me, is it a cat? Tell me, is it a cat? The image which I am showing you, is it a cat? Is it a cat? Respond in the chat box. Is it a cat? But Google treats this image as cat. No, for small data set, for data set to data set also, we can calculate the accuracy of the algorithm, right? So what I'm saying is, in general, in real-time applications, real-time applications, like Google is using a lot of machine learning algorithms, especially for diagnostic applications and text classification. Not only Google, in many industries, in many places, this naive-Bayes classification is being used. So in real-time applications, the success rate of the naive-Bayes classifier is found to be somewhere close to 86%, which is considered to be reasonably good, right? It is really good. 86% is not bad. But if you look at this one, I typed like cats. I want to see cats, so I typed the cats. But this is a woman who was just what we say, who was dressed up like a cat, but this is not a cat at all, right? She's not a cat. So what do you understand by this one? Even Google, right, the machine learning algorithm used by Google failed to identify the cat with 100% accuracy. So that's what I'm saying. 100% accuracy is not possible, my dear friends, right? A lot of images will come. Somewhere in the bottom you will see it will show even couple of dogs as under the category of cats. Means it failed to recognize it properly. Means the it's a proof like machine learning algorithms accuracy can't be 100%. See, is it a cat? She is an old lady, right? So that is what is the point, friends. So obviously it can't be 100%. So coming back to our class, our session. Right. So is it clear now, naive-Bayes classification? This part is clear. Shall we conclude like text classification using naive-Bayes classifier is done? And even if this is asked in the mid-exam, we can attempt. Is it so? Please respond. Then that's great, right? So friends, now we will see one more topic called as Bayesian belief network, right? Bayesian belief network. What is this Bayesian belief network? We will see. And before that, we need to understand one important concept. So this is done. So let me start on a new page. Right. So what is that we want to discuss? Is Bayesian belief. So what is this Bayesian belief network and what is the importance of this Bayesian belief network? This is what we need to understand, right? So friends, the previous naive-Bayes classifier which we have applied to detect presence of cancer and also to detect and also to classify text classification and cancer detection. These are the two examples which two use cases which we have discussed by applying naive-Bayes classifier. So before we go to Bayesian belief network, one should know what is conditional independence, right? So naive-Bayes optimal classifier, or you can simply say naive-Bayes classifier, assumes conditional independence to be present right. So naive-Bayes assumes that there is conditional independence. So first of all, what is conditional independence? That is what we need to know. So what is conditional independence? Any guess or any idea? I'll give you an example. Please observe this example. Observe this example. Observe this example carefully. Ram sir, tomorrow, are you coming tomorrow? Suppose this is one message which I got from one of my colleague or one of my subordinate. So he says Ram sir, right? If the person is my friend, he will say Ram, are you coming tomorrow? Right? Or it can be Ram, will you be available tomorrow? Now please observe these three statements closely. Now tell me, is there any rule or is there any dependency that whenever the word Ram comes, immediately after that Sir should come? Whenever Ram comes, immediately after that their Sir should come. Is there any such rule? Is there any such rule? Let us talk, let us discuss, let us make this interaction more, make this session more interactive so that you can understand the concepts pretty well, right? So whenever you find the word Ram, immediately is there any need for Sir? No, it's not needed. Similarly, whenever you find the word coming, immediately after that, is there any need that the word tomorrow should come? It can be something else also. Are you coming tomorrow? Instead of that, you can say, are you coming on Monday? Or instead of coming tomorrow, you will say, will you be available tomorrow? Or I can say, coming, will you be coming the next day? Right? There is no rule, like, there is no rule. Of course, please don't look into the grammar of this one. We are not interested in the grammar, and of course I am not an English teacher, and especially I am not a grammar expert. Fine, so I am just trying to talk about the dependency between the words, right? So if there is a word coming followed by coming, if you find tomorrow, maybe 2 or 3 times, Ram, are you coming tomorrow? And Ram, I'll be coming tomorrow. So in two examples, after coming, the word tomorrow came. It doesn't mean that every time, whenever you see a word coming, there should be a word tomorrow. There is no such guarantee. Right? And similarly, whenever you find the word Ram, there is no rule like immediately after Ram, the word Sar should come. So, Bayesian name-based classifiers, they assume that there is no such dependency, right? So that point is called as conditional independence. So there is no dependency among any two words. This is called as conditional independence. But 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 let us see another example now. Machine learning is a super course. Machine learning has lot of opportunities, right? Machine learning is easy. Machine learning is implemented using Python. Right? In our college, we started artificial intelligence and machine. Now tell me what word should come. Now tell me what word should come. You have seen what I have typed. I have typed statements like machine learning is a new super course. Machine learning is easy to learn. Machine learning has lot of opportunities. Machine learning can be implemented using Python. 4 or 5 statements. Then what I have typed in our college, we started artificial intelligence and machine. I left the next word. So what could be the word? What could be the word? Can you predict what could be the word or what should be the word? It can be learning, right? Most probably or most likely it should be machine learning, right? So if you take any modern any web documents also, these days, when you are reading any technical document, any document related to artificial intelligence or machine learning, in most of the places wherever you find the word machine, immediately the next word will be learning, right? Did you notice that? Did you notice that wherever you find machine, the probability or the chances of the next word to be learning are really more. The chances of the next word to be learning are really more. Do you accept this? Do you accept this? Yes. So friends, naive-Bayes algorithm, naive-Bayes optimal classifier, what it will assume is, it will assume that there is no conditional dependence, right? But in some cases, conditional dependence can be there. Machine learning, after machine learning can come, the chances of the next word to be learning are more. So there can be conditional dependence. So not only between words, there can be conditional dependence between some what we say between some activities also, right? So conditional independence is not really possible every time. That is the summary. Conditional independence is not possible every time, and naive-Bayes classifier assumes conditional independence to be present all the time. But we have seen an example like conditional independence is not really possible every time. So there can be conditional dependence among words. If it is a text classification example, you can say words, right? Similarly, not only words, there can be a conditional dependence between some events also. So in order to study the conditional dependence among some events, we use this concept of Bayesian belief networks. So it is very, very important concept, right? Now I'll tell you, I'll try to explain you what is this Bayesian belief network, right? One second. Any doubts? No, fine. There is some sound. This is the disturbance. Right. So see here, friends. I'll try to explain it by drawing something. Where is my epic pen? Bayesian belief network is also an important concept. You can also expect a problem in Bayesian belief networks also, right? So, friends, just imagine. Where is this one pen? Right. You are sneezing today. You are sneezing, right? One of our student is sneezing today. Hachi, hachi, hachi. He's sneezing, right? Now, what could be the reason? What could be the reason for sneezing? What could be the reason for sneezing? One of our student is sneezing, right? What could be the reason? Some viral infection. Some viral infection can be the reason, right? Which is normal viral infection, my dear. Normal viral infection which we get because of change in weather, all those things. So why normal viral infection will come? Because change in weather conditions, weather, right? Weather was rainy, something like that, so viral infections can occur. Another possible reason for sneezing is maybe, for example sake, I am using it. Please don't take it otherwise. If someone is sneezing, no, today we are really afraid. Maybe this fellow got COVID. So if someone is sneezing, whether he was sneezing because of COVID or he has got a normal viral infection, I don't know. If he has got the normal viral infection, why that normal viral infection occurred? Maybe because of the changes in the weather, right? Now, suppose if it is because of COVID, right? Suppose if it is because of COVID, then again, right? Maybe this he got COVID. What are the reasons for getting COVID? Maybe this fellow attended a party the other night, right? Or some other reason, right? Maybe what we say, he himself was like prone to some exposed to something, so he did not attend party, but somehow he got infected, right? So somehow, let me say some X. So friends, if you observe this diagram, of course it is not really looking good, I accept it. Final outcome is sneezing. Final outcome is sneezing. Now what this Bayesian belief network, so whatever diagram I am showing you is a network now, right? Bayesian belief network. Now we need to find probabilities for this one. So a person is sneezing today. Now what is the probability that this fellow is sneezing because of normal infection? So what is the probability of sneezing because of normal infection? So probability of sneezing because of normal infection, normal viral infection, this I need to find. What are the probabilities of him sneezing because of COVID? That I need to find. And here, if this fellow has got COVID, then what is the probability of him getting COVID because he has attended a party other night, right? And what is the probability of him getting COVID because he was exposed to some conditions or some other X reason, whatever it is. If it is a viral infection, then why this fellow got viral infection? What is the probability that there was a rain yesterday or there was a change in the weather condition? So he got viral infection. What is the probability of what is the probability of change in weather which led to viral infection? Like that, if you observe friends, we can calculate all these probabilities, and this network is called as Bayesian belief network. Means we try to believe now, okay, this fellow is sneezing, I believe it is because of normal viral infection, because probabilities of normal viral infection are more than the probabilities of COVID, right? So like that, we can construct a Bayesian belief network. In normal naive-Bayes algorithm, conditional independence was assumed, but in Bayesian belief network, we try to believe that there is a dependence, conditional dependence, and we try to understand, or we try to find, right? Suppose final outcome variable is sneezing. If a person is sneezing, if sneezing is an event, what is the main cause for sneezing, right? So Bayesian belief networks, let me write here BBN, Bayesian belief networks, they help us in finding, right, causal relationship, not casual, my dear friend. Cause relationship, causal. Casual means what is the cause for this particular event. Causal, not casual. Please try to understand. I am not using the word casual, right? Causal means what is the cause, right? So if sneezing is an event occurred, what is the cause? More likely it's a normal infection, or more likely it's a COVID. So that probabilities, again probabilities can be computed, and based on this Bayesian belief network, we can tell right? What is the relationship between two events, right? Sneezing is one event. It can occur mostly because of viral infection. The probabilities of viral infection are more than the probabilities of COVID. Probabilities of X are more than probabilities of Y in the occurrence of an event called as Z. So this kind of probabilities can be studied. This kind of relationship, causal relationships can be studied using Bayesian belief networks, right? So friends, when we begin with this kind of Bayesian belief networks, we don't know the initial probabilities. So in this entire Bayesian belief network, what we don't know is the initial probabilities, right? So we don't know the initial probabilities. So what will happen is there will be a problem like how do I find the initial probabilities? So one second. I'll see, can I rotate this? I think I can rotate it, fine. No issue. So friends, this is some A, this is B, this is C, and maybe this is D, this is E, and this is here. Right. Now, mm, what I'll do is insert. Suppose this is my final outcome variable. Let me call this one as what we call this one as ABCDEFG. Right. Now, what I want to understand is insert. So this G can occur either because of E, or this G can occur because of F, or this G can occur because of D. So this is a Bayesian belief network. This Bayesian belief network is basically a graph. And these are all arrows, my dear. These are all not unidirectional. They are bidirectional only. So they are not bidirectional. They are unidirectional only, right? Just like these black arrows. So this Bayesian network. Now what I need to find is if G is an incident or event occurred. Now I need to know what is the probability of E, means whether it occurred because of E, whether it occurred because of F, whether it occurred because of D. If this occurred because of E, then how much it was influenced by B and how much it was influenced by A. So this cause and act, what we say, cause and event relationship, you can study using Bayesian belief networks, right? So you understood what do you mean by a Bayesian belief network? Is it clear to everyone? So first you should know what do you mean by conditional independence, right? Which normal naive-Bayes classifier assumes, like there is conditional independence everywhere, but conditional independence is not really possible, or it may not be possible every time. For that we have seen some examples also. So some events can occur because of some other events. So conditional dependence is there. So can we study conditional dependence? If we want to study that conditional dependence, we have to use Bayesian belief networks. So please let me know you understood Bayesian belief network or not. And of course, we need to discuss a couple of other small things in Bayesian belief networks, which we will do it in our next class. So till today, till this time, whatever we have discussed, Bayesian belief networks and naive-Bayes classification, is it clear to everyone? So please quickly respond regarding today's session. Was it clear to everyone? I want everyone to respond. Then we can wind up. I want everyone to please quickly give your feedback. 72, 502, B5, 88, 514, 515, M0, D5, 515, H0, 501, A3. Please respond. Please respond in the chat box. Everyone. Come on, respond. Tomorrow we will have a couple of small topics which are left out in Bayesian networks. We will discuss that. Right. So before we wind up, please quickly respond whether did you follow each and every concept discussed today or not. Already some people are responding. I want everyone to give your feedback now.